Hey everyone, Andy Sykes from Singletrack magazine here, and today we're going to go over my long-term review of the Commencal Meta AM 29 Team Edition bike. I was sent this bike earlier in the year to replace my previous 2018 Commencal Meta AM 29, and although they share the same name, they both got 29-inch wheels, they really couldn't be any more different from each other. Now, if you're tuning into this video at upload time and thinking, hey, this video is kind of out of date now, well actually it's not. Because of, the problems with supply chains that all brands are having, this bike actually doesn't go on sale until November 2021, and the frame is still the same for the 2022 version. So a lot of what I'm going to tell you in this review still is reflected in the new models too. Now, if you've been following Commencal, you've seen that recently they have launched an SX edition, and that's a mullet version of this bike. This frame and that frame are different. They have different rear ends, different geometry. So if you're interested in the SX, maybe this isn't the video for you. But if you're interested in the 29er enduro bike, this is what you should be watching. Now, this is a full-on massive enduro bike. Don't kid yourself in thinking that you can size up on this bike, because you might not be able to. I am 178 centimeters and I tend to go for a large, and to be honest, I think I should have gone for a medium for this. This bike has a reach of 495 millimeters, and to be honest, any longer and I wouldn't be comfortable riding it. What that does mean though is it's extremely stable and fast at speed. Combine that with a super slack 63.6 degree head angle and a 78.5 degree seat tube angle, it means that although it is long, it doesn't feel overly stretched out. And it also means that this bike is a very capable climber. Not a fast climber, but very capable. You can take this up over some really technical routes and steps and easily scramble your way up. You're just not going to set any uphill climbing records. It isn't a very light bike. Obviously, all Commencals are aluminium. There isn't a shred of carbon fiber on this bike whatsoever. Now, the Meta AM 29 enduro bike is really a full-on race bike. If you're looking for something that's playful and enjoyable on trails, you're probably better looking at the TR. But if you're looking at winning races, this is the bike you should be looking at. Now, when I swapped over from the original Meta AM 29 to this new version, I actually had a few days where I had both bikes and I was able to swap from one to the other. Now, I'd been riding that previous generation bike for a really long time, and I'd got so used to the way it handled things. And when I jumped on this bike, it felt a little bit alien. It wasn't an instant jump on and get on with the bike straight away. In fact, riding my local trails, I actually felt slower on this bike than I did on the previous generation bike. But believe me when I say that was all in my head. Commencal have done some major changes to the kinematics, and obviously the geometry changes make this bike a much more forgiving and fatigue-friendly bike. And what I mean is you just don't feel tired on the descents, and that's why I wasn't feeling quick. On the previous generation bike, I could hit a downhill section really fast, and at the end I would feel out of breath and tired. But on this, I could hit it even faster, and when I got to the bottom, I felt fine. No aching muscles, I didn't feel tired, and for those first few rides I was really confused because I honestly thought that this bike was slower than the previous generation one. But as you'll see in this side-by-side video, this bike is by far quicker, and I wasn't even trying. In fact, at the end of the section in this video, you'll see that I just give up because I think I'm not going quick enough. In actual fact, if it continued, I could have easily beaten my previous time by 5 or 6 seconds, again, without really even trying. But then again, maybe this isn't the kind of bike that you're after. I mean, I personally prefer to feel a bit more involved in the ride. I want to feel what the trail's doing, I want to hop off things and jump around. And I think if that's the kind of rider you are, you probably are going to be more interested in the TR edition of this bike, which has slightly less travel, but there's still the 29-inch wheels. But like I say, if you want to go fast and win races, there isn't anything really much faster than this on the trail. Now in terms of build, there isn't really anything I can complain about on this bike. It has really high quality DT Swiss alloy wheels combined with an alloy frame, an alloy bar and stem. So on some bikes of this caliber, you get a lot of carbon fiber, and that can sometimes turn into a really rigid and firm ride. That means a lot of vibration comes through the bars into your hands, but that's not true of the Meta AM29. Obviously the suspension does an excellent job of taking out any of the bumps and chunder on the trail, but the fact that it's aluminium and the fact that even Commencal say that there is a bit of flex in this frame, it does a great job of taking away any vibration and nasty trail bumps and things that would come through to the handlebars normally on another bike. As I say, the specification is pretty good. This is a €4,999 bike. I'm pretty sure it was cheaper at the start of the year, but obviously everything is increasing because of transportation costs and other taxes. And also bear in mind that if you were to buy this, it would be shipped from France into the UK, and you probably would have to pay extra taxes on top of that, so keep that in mind. But specification wise, it's pretty good. It comes with a RockShox Zeb up front with 170 mm of travel. It has a RockShox Super Deluxe rear shock, Shrem GX 1x12 group set, and Code brakes with these really nice titanium rainbowy oil slick bolts on that look really good. You also get a really nice dropper post on here. It's a Kinematic lev on this and a very comfortable fabric saddle. The only thing that I would change on this out of the box are the grips. I would much prefer to use a pair of Bergtech super soft grips, which are really comfortable. So we've talked about the frame, we've talked about the specification. Let's talk about how this bike handles the terrain. Let's talk about going uphill first. So you've got to go uphill before you can come down. Now, you're not going to win any races on this going uphill. I mean, I've ridden some really good big travel bikes that climb really well. The Nukeproof Giga comes to mind. And to be fair, this is just as capable uphill. It can handle the rocks, it can handle the steps and bumps as you climb, and it will get up any techie uphill, but you need to put a lot of effort in. It's a heavier bike. It's a little bit more sluggish on the climbs, but it will get you up there. It's more of a sit back, stick it in the granny ring and winch away. It's not something that you could really sprint uphill unless you're feeling extremely fit. Like I say, it will get up there, just a little bit slower. Now, you could probably improve it a little bit. You could probably put carbon fiber wheels on it. That would make it lighter and roll a bit better. And you could also change the tires. But to be fair, the Big Betty and Magic Mary combo on here roll pretty well considering how much traction they offer. They're a very aggressive tire, and they work really well all year round, and especially shine when the weather gets a little bit damp as it is now. Once you're up the hill and maybe you're riding along a flat section of terrain, again, the Meta AM29 is pretty good. It's not fast, it's not lightning fast. You can change direction quite quickly, but it isn't as poppy as playful as, for example, a trail bike or the Meta TR probably is. So as I say, if you're riding in mellower conditions, if you've got flatter terrain and you aren't so bothered about going super fast downhill, this is probably not the bike for you, and you should probably look at the Meta TR. But if your whole point is getting up just so you can smash it downhill, really look at the Meta AM29. Once you get it pointing downhill, it really is incredible. Now, like I say, there were a few things that I did need to get used to. The difference in geometry and kinematics was a big one for me. As I say, the first few rides downhill, I felt that it wasn't as fast simply because I didn't feel as tired at the bottom. But as you can see in the videos, it is a very fast and capable bike. Another thing that I needed to get used to was the new Devon air spring in the Zeb. The Zeb, well actually the Lyric was the first bike I used the new Devon air spring in, but this was the first time I'd used a Zeb, and the stiffer chassis and the higher ride height took a little bit getting used to. I do tend to like a lower front end, but eventually I did get used to the higher ride height on the Zeb, and I'm pretty impressed by how much traction you can get out of that fork, because you can really lean over the front and not have the bike sagging down even in really steep terrain. The rest of the kit on the bike is perfect really. I've not had any troubles with the tires, I've not punctured them, the alloy wheels have lasted really well, and the Code brakes are super powerful. Probably one of my favorite brakes for the year. As a package, for €4,999. It's pretty good. I mean, it's difficult to tell if this is good value or not because bike prices are fluctuating all over the place. And also, once you import this into the UK, you will be liable for other taxes. However, if you were looking for this bike as a frame only, that is available, and there are also more affordable versions of this bike with different specification. The good thing with Commencal, all the alloy frames are exactly the same. So if you wanted, you could go for the most affordable, which I believe is around €2,999, ride it, smash those parts, and build up something really, really special like this. Anyway, so that's my full long-term review of the Commencal Meta AM29. To sum up, really great frame and geometry if you are going downhill fast. If you want something that can do a bit more, that's more of an all-rounded bike, this is not for you. But if you are planning on racing enduro, if you live in the Alps, or if you live in places where you've got massive, long, steep downhills that are extremely rugged, then this is the bike for you. For me, I would say it's a little bit too much bike, and I would probably prefer the Meta TR for my local riding. Also, I probably should have gone for a medium size, or in the new SX, the large is probably better because that's 10mm shorter in reach. I think I've covered everything in this review. If you've got any questions about the Commencal Meta AM29, please let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up and hit like and subscribe.